Chapter 9, Cain and Abel. Begin all acts and thinking by using El-Kalum the All. Tablet 1, Cain and Abel. 19 times 5 equals 95. Lo, it is stated that every time Nekeba, who was in the image of the Anunnaki Elohim, would give birth, she would bear a male and female child together called twins, from Middle English, from Old English twin, meaning twofold, except in the case of their son Seth. Cadman and Nekeba dwelt on the earth working in order to continue in the well-being of their bodies, and there was an appointed hour, in an appointed day, in an appointed month, when Cadman aged 21 and Nekeba aged 18 were to give birth. However, they were beguiled and enticed by Nakash, and they did indulge in sexual intercourse out of due time. For when she, Nekeba, partook of the forbidden fruit, the tree created an addiction and lustful desire through its intoxication. She gave the fruit to her mate Cadman also, and both their eyes were opened, and they then knew shame, for they were naked. Then they heard the voice of the Yahuwah Elohim Kalkael, son of Araziel and Rafikiel, while they were still laid in caress. And he was walking in the enclosed garden in midday, speaking with the other Yahwehans Elohim. The wind blew, and Cadman and Nekeba tried to hide from the face of the Yahwehans in the midst of the trees in the enclosed garden. A Yahuwah of the Elohim Kalkael called out to Cadman Adam, and he said, "Where are you hiding?" Cadman said, "I heard your voice speaking in the enclosed garden, and I was afraid out of reverence because I was naked. So that's the reason why I was hiding myself, and it was no other reason." The Elohim Kalkael said, "Who taught you about nakedness? Did you eat of the tree which I commanded you that you shouldn't eat? Have you done that which the Most High Anu has commanded of you not to do?" And Cadman said, "Nekeba, whom you gave me, she gave it to me, and I betook of it." Yahuwah of the Elohim said to Nekeba Hawa, "What is this you have done?" Nekeba answered, and she said, "Nakash, son of Shakara Melita, deceived me into consuming it. This is a great thing you have done, a great wrong." But Nekeba nor Cadman knew that she had given birth in her womb. Because Cadman knew Nekeba, she became pregnant. She became pregnant for the fulfillment of 9 months, and then Nekeba Eve's childbearing were ended. The time drew near when she must be delivered. Then she said unto Cadman, "This cave is a pure spot by reason of the signs. We should rot in it since we left the garden, and we shall again make tafalat in it. It is not meet, then, that I should give birth in it. Let us rather repair to that of the sheltering rock, which Nakash hurled at us when he wished to kill us with it, but that it was held up and spread as an awning over us by the command of Elionel, and he formed a cave. Then Cadman removed Nekeba to that cave, and when the time came that she should bring forth, she had travailed greatly. So Cadman was sorry, and his heart suffered for her sake, for she was nigh unto death, that the word of Elionel to her should be fulfilled. In suffering will you bear a child, and in sorrow will you bring forth the child. But when Cadman saw the state in which Nekeba was, he arose and prayed to Elionel, and he said, "Elionel, look upon me with the eye of your mercy, and bring her out of her distress." Elionel looked at his maidservant Nekeba, and he delivered her, and he brought forth her firstborn son and daughter, twins. It was a natural function that whenever a male being would fertilize an ovum or the egg, there would be a pairing of one of the X chromosomes of the female living being. This produced an XX female living being. Then the remaining Y chromosome of the male living being would pair off with the other X chromosome of the female living being, and it would produce an XY, or male living being. Thus the male living being and female living being twins are produced. Each fetus develops into an individual with similar intelligence, because Nekeba was originally supposed to bear fraternal twins each time she conceived. She was equipped with 2 mammary glands. With these mammary glands, she would be able to support both children with the necessary colostrum fluid in order to survive and grow properly. The birth of the twins. Then Cadman rejoiced at Nekeba's deliverance and conception, and also over the children she had bore him. Cadman ministered unto Nekeba in the cave until the end of 8 days, when they named the son Cain, meaning possession, and the daughter Labuda, Lalula, meaning staying together. Cain became known as the rebellious one, the hater, because he hated his sister while they were in the mother's womb, and he was the firstborn of the 2. Therefore Cadman named him Cain, also Cain meaning possessor. But the twin sister Lalula also means beautiful, because she was more beautiful than her mother. Then Cadman and Nekeba waited until Cain and his sister were 40 days old, when Cadman said to Nekeba, "We will make an offering and offer it up on behalf of the children." Nekeba said, "We will make one offering for the firstborn son, and afterwards we shall make one for the daughter." Then Cadman prepared the offering, and he and Nekeba offered it up for their children. And they brought it to the altar they had built at first. Cadman offered up the offering and besought Elionel to accept his offering. Then Elionel accepted Cadman's offering, and he sent a light from heaven that shone upon the offering. Cadman and his son drew near to the offering, but Nekeba and her daughter did not approach it. Then Cadman came down from upon the altar, and they were joyful, and Cadman and Nekeba waited until the daughter was 80 days old. Then Cadman prepared an offering, and he took it to Nekeba and to the children, and they went to the altar, where Cadman offered it up as he was accustomed, asking Elionel to accept his offering. Elionel accepted the offering of Cadman and Nekeba. Then Cadman, Nekeba and the children drew near together, and they came down from the mountain rejoicing. They didn't return to the cave in which they were born, but they came to the cave of treasures, in order that the children should go around it and be blessed with the tokens brought from the garden. But after they had been blessed with these tokens, they went back to the cave in which they were born. However, before Nekeba had offered up the offering, Cadman had taken her, and they had gone to the river of water, in which they threw themselves at first, and then they washed themselves. Cadman washed his body, and Nekeba washed hers also, and they were clean after the suffering and distress that had come upon them. But Cadman and Nekeba, after washing themselves in the river of water, they returned every shadow hour to the cave of treasures, where they prayed, and they were blessed, and they went back to their cave, where the children were born. So Cadman and Nekeba had resided there until the children had done suckling, breastfeeding. Then, when they were weaned, Cadman made an offering for the souls of his children, none other than the 3 times he had made an offering for them every week. When the days of nursing the children were ended, Nekeba again conceived, and when her days were ended, she brought forth another son and daughter. And they named the son Abel, and the daughter Aklamia. She came first, and she was the elder of the 2. That was 2 years, according to the law of the Elohim. After he, Cadman, went in unto her Nekeba again, she gave birth to the second set of twins, which was Abel, in tone Abel, and in rhythm Abel, whose name meant the vapor of breath, and this is the spirit of life. His twin sister Aklamia, her name means more reasonable, because she was able to adjust to her brother Cain, who was the first crazy person, lunar, moon cycle, or lunatic of the planet Earth. At the end of 40 days, Cadman made an offering for their son, and at the end of 80 days, he made another offering for the daughter, and he did them as he had done before for Cain and his sister Labuda. He brought them to the cave of treasures, where they received a blessing, and they returned to the cave where they were born. After the birth of these, Nekeba ceased from childbearing. Anu, most glorified and exalted, sent the Anunnaki Elohim Mikael, which is the Anunnaki Elohim of mercy, to name the progeny of Cadman and Nekeba. Thus both male and female were called Cadman. Tablet 2. Cain becomes jealous because of his sister. 19 times 2 equals 38. Lo! And the children began to wax stronger and to grow in stature. But Cain was hard-hearted, and he ruled over his younger brother. Oftentimes when his father made an offering, he would remain behind, and he would not go with them to offer up as an initiate in the order of Zadok, of which both sons would eventually pledge. But as for Abel, he had a meek heart, and he was obedient to his father and mother, whom he often moved to make an offering, because he loved it, and made his tafalat, and fasted much. Then a sign came to Abel as he was coming into the cave of treasures, and he saw the golden rods. The incense of myrrh, he inquired of his parents Cadman and Nekeba concerning them, and he said unto them, How did you attain these? Then Cadman told him all that had befallen them. Abel felt deeply about what his father had told him. Furthermore, his father Cadman told him of the works of Eli and Elionel and the garden. And after that, he remained behind his father the whole of the shadow hour in the cave of treasures. And that shadow hour, while he was praying, Nakash appeared unto him in the image of a man who said to him, You have oftentimes moved your father to make an offering, and to fast and to pray. Therefore I will kill you, and make you perish from this world. But as for Abel, he prayed to El and drove away Iblis from him, and he didn't believe the words of Nakash, who was of the order of Nana Sin. Then when it was daytime, an Anunnaki Elohim appeared unto him, who said to him, Shorten neither in fasting meditation, nor offering up an obligation unto your El, for lo the Anunnaki Elohim has not accepted you. Be not afraid of the figure which appeared unto you in the shadow hours, and who cursed you in the shadow hours, and who cursed you unto death. The angel departed from him. And then, when it was daytime, Abel came to Cadmon and Nekeba and told them of the vision that he had seen. But when they heard it, they grieved much over it, yet they said nothing much over it. They only just comforted him. But as hard-hearted Cain, Nakash came unto him by shadow hour, and he showed himself, and he said unto him, Since Cadmon and Nekeba love your brother Abel much more than they love you, and they wish to join him in marriage to your beautiful sister because they love him, but they wish to join you in marriage to his ill-favoured sister because they hate you, so therefore I counsel you, when they do that, you should kill your brother, and then your sister will be left for you, and his sister will be cast away. Then suddenly Nakash departed from him, but the wicked one remained behind in the heart of Cain, who sought many a time to kill his brother. He was only looking for the right reason, for hate was in his heart. He loved himself so much that he wished to marry his own twin sister. Yet Cadmon and Nekeba did make plain to him the wishes of the Anunnaki Elohim, but being of the disagreeable company, he feared not. Tablet 3. Cain 15 years old and Abel 12 years old grow apart. 19 times 2 equals 38. Lo! But when Cadmon saw that the elder brother hated the younger, he endeavoured to soften their hearts, for the day of the great initiation was near. Cadmon said unto Cain, Take, O my son, the fruits of your sowing, and make an offering unto El, that he may enter you into the order of Zadok. He said also to Abel, Take of your sowing, and make an offering and bring it to El, that you may be entered into the order of Zadok, and not into the order of Nana Sin. Then Abel hearkened unto his father's voice, and he took of sowing, and made a good offering, and he said to his father Cadmon, Come with me and show me how to be accepted, and for my offering to be accepted. They went. Cadmon was in the cave, in which Nekeba was with him, and they showed him how to prepare the meal for the offering, and he did offer his gift, knowing how to offer it up. They went, Cadmon and Nekeba with him, and they showed him how to offer up his gift before the altar. And after that they stood up and prayed that El would respect Abel's offering and accept Abel into the order. Then El looked upon Abel, and he respected his offering. El was more pleased with Abel, and he accepted him. He was now the son of the Elohim, the child of green light, because of his good heart and pure body. There was no trace of guile in him. Then they came down from the altar. They went into the cave in which they dwelt. But Abel, by reason of his joy having made his offering, he repeated it 3 times a week, after the example of his father Cadmon. But at the end of the day, later in time, what happened was Cain. He entered into the presence of the Elohim in an attempt to be accepted into the order of Zadok, and he presented a meal as a tribute in an initiation ceremony from the ground for Nusku Gibriel Yahuwah, who had no respect for it, and he was not accepted into the order of Zadok. It was not the best of his crop. This made Cain hot with anger, and it showed on his face when it fell into a frown, for he took no pleasure in the offering, and his eye was again on it. Therefore El did not accept his offering, because he was full of murderous thoughts, and he was later to be accepted into the order of Nana Sin, for Hamatia, son of Apolia, and he waited for the availability of his soul. They did welcome him into the order of the Amberlight, fire. Upon entering through the door of the kneeling, Hamatia greeted him. Cain was a worthy candidate for this disagreeable order, and there he was accepted. Thus, they lived together in the cave in which Nekeba had brought forth, until Cain was 15 years old and Abel 12 years old. Tablet 4. Jealousy overcomes Cain. He makes trouble in the family. How the first murder was planned. 19 times 7 equals 133. Lo! Then Cadmon said to Nekeba, Behold, the children are grown up. We must think of grandchildren. It is best for Abel to marry Labuda, and Cain to marry Aklamia. This is how it was told to me by the Elohim. Then Nekeba said to Cadmon, I do not like Cain, because he is hard-hearted. But let them abide. until we offer up unto El on their behalf." Cadmon said no more. Meanwhile, Shaitan came to Cain in the image of a man of the field, and he said to him, "Behold, Cadmon and Yaa-Nun have taken counsel together about the marriage of you two, and they have agreed to marry Abel's sister to you, and your sister to him. But if it were not that I love you, I would not have told you. Will you take my advice and hearken unto me? I will bring you on your wedding day beautiful robes, gold and silver in plenty, and my relations will attend to you." Then Cain said with joy, "Where are your relations?" Nakash answered, "My relations are in a garden in the north, where I once meant to bring your father Cadmon, but he would not accept my offer. But if you will receive my words, and if you will come unto me after your wedding, you will rest from the misery in which you are, and be better off than your father Cadmon." At these words of Shaitan, Cain opened his ears and leaned towards his speech. He did not remain in the field, but went to Yaa-Nun his mother. However, she acquitted him and sent him to the field where he had been. Then, when Cadmon came, she told him of what Cain had done. But Cadmon grieved and held his peace, and he said not a word. Then on the morrow, Cadmon said unto Cain his son, "Take of your sheep, young and good, and offer them up to El for a great feast, but do it with all care and perfection, for this is what they look for if you are to be accepted. And I will speak to your brother to make unto El an offering." They both hearkened to their father Cadmon, and they took their offering and offered it up on the mountain by the altar. But Cain behaved haughtily towards his brother at their initiation, and he thrust him before the altar, and would not let him present himself before the altar. But Cain offered his own before it with guile and fraud. But as for Abel, Cain set up stones that were near at hand, and he prevented him from entering the tabernacle of the Most High and pledging the proper pledge. But the Elohim were very disturbed on this special day of rest. Upon that, he offered up his gift, and he cried unto El, in hopes that it would be accepted and his pledge would be respected, in that he did his very best to comply to the wishes of the Elohim on the day of rest. But the Elohim did not accept Cain. He was rejected entrance into the order of Zadok. But he remained standing over against the altar out of humour and wrath, looking towards his brother Abel to see if the Elohim would accept him and respect his offering. Abel prayed unto El to accept him and respect his offering. Then a divine green light came down and consumed him and his offering. El was greatly pleased with him, and he welcomed him as a child of the Elohim. Because Abel loved him and rejoiced in him, and because El was pleased with him, he sent him an Anunnaki Elohim of light, in the figure of Gabriel Zadok, who had partaken of his offering, and they comforted Abel and strengthened his heart. But Cain was looking on at all that took place at his brother's offering, and he was vexed on the account of it. Then he opened his mouth and blasphemed El, because he had not accepted him or respected his offering. But Gabriel said unto Cain, "Wherefore is your countenance sad? Be righteous, that I may accept your offering. Not against me have you murmured, but against thyself." Gabriel said this to Cain in rebuke, and because he abhorred him and his offering. And Cain came down from the altar, and his colour changed to pale in anger and a woeful countenance. Cain came to his father and mother and told them all that had befallen him. Cadmon grieved much, because El had not accepted Cain. But Abel came down rejoicing, and with gladsome heart, and told his father and mother how El had accepted him. And they rejoiced at it, and they kissed his face. Abel said to his father, "Because Cain thrust me from the altar and would not allow me to offer my gift before it, I made an altar for myself and offered my gift before it." But when Cain heard this, he had a twofold anger. 7 disagreeable spirits entered him. Then he went to the field where Iblis came to him, and he said to him, "Since your brother Abel has taken refuge with your father Cadmon, because you did thrust him from the altar, they have kissed his face, and they rejoice over him far more than they over you." When Cain heard these words of Nakash, he was filled with rage, and he let no one know. But he was laying in wait to kill his brother, until he brought him into the cave, and he said unto him, "O brother, the country is so beautiful, and there are so many beautiful trees in it, and charming to look at. But brother, I very much wish that you would come with me into the field, to enjoy thyself, and to bless our fields and our flocks, for you are righteous, and I love you," he said in deceit. Then Abel consented to go with his brother Cain into the field, but before going out, Cain said to Abel, "Wait for me until I fetch a staff because of wild beasts." Then Abel stood waiting in his innocence as Cain went forward, and he fetched a staff and went out. Cain and his brother Abel left to walk down the way, Cain talking to him and comforting him to make him forget everything. So Cain in concealed anger spoke to Abel, and when the right time had come, when they were both on the right side of the enclosed garden in the field, and so they went on until they came to a lonely place where there were no sheep. Then Abel said unto Cain, "Behold, my brother, we are weary of walking, for we see none of the trees nor of the fruits, nor of any of the things of which you did tell me. Where are those sheep of yours that you did tell me to bless?" Then Cain said to him, "Come on, and presently you will see many beautiful things. Go before me until I catch up to you." Then Abel went forward, but Cain remained behind him, and Abel was walking in his innocence without guile, not believing his brother would kill him. Then Cain, when he came unto him, he confronted him with his talk, walking a little behind him. Then he hastened and smote him with the staff, blow after blow, 3 times until he was on the ground. But when Abel fell down upon the ground, seeing that his brother meant to kill him, he said to Cain, "O my brother, have pity on me. By the same breast have we sucked, smite me not. By the same parents that bare us, and that brought us into this world, smite me not unto death with that staff. If you will kill me, take one of those large stones and kill me outright." Then Cain, the hard-hearted and cruel murderer, took 3 large stones and smote his brother with them upon his head 3 times, and he weltered in his blood before him. Cain stood over Abel, and he made sure he was dead. Cain repented not of what he had done, but the earth with the blood of the righteous Abel fell upon it, trembled, and it drank his blood, and would have brought Cain to naught for it. The blood of Abel cried mysteriously to Elionel to avenge him of his murder. Then Cain began to wonder at once what shall be done with his brother's dead body, for he was trembling from fear which came upon him when he saw the earth tremble on his account. A wicked plan is carried to a tragic conclusion. Cain is frightened. Am I my brother's keeper? The 7 punishments piece is shattered. After watching the mischief of the fowl and how it did bury its dead, he then cast his brother into the pit that he made and covered him with dust. But the earth would not receive him, but it threw him up at once. Again, Cain dug up the earth and hid his brother in it. But again, the earth threw him up on itself, and the earth threw up the body of Abel 3 times. The muddy earth threw him up the first time because he was not the first creation, and it threw him up the second time and would not receive him because he was righteous and good, and he was killed without a cause. Then the earth threw him up a 3rd time and would not receive him, so that he would be a witness before his brother against him. It was so that the earth mocked Cain, until the word of Elionel came to him concerning his brother. From then was Elionel angry, and much displeased at Abel's death. He caused a great thunder from heaven, and lightning went before him, from the great craft that did hover above as the throne. The word of the Yahuwah of the Elohim Gabriel Nusku said to Cain, "Where is Abel our brother?" Then Cain answered him with a gruff voice and said, "I don't know. Am I supposed to know every whereabouts of my brother? Am I responsible for him? How, O Yahuwah, am I my brother's keeper?" Then the Anunnaki Elohim Nusku, also known as Gabriel, said unto Cain, "Cursed be the earth that has drunk the blood of Abel your brother," and all the heavens were saddened by this. Tablet 5. Cain is confronted by the Elohim for his actions. 19 times 3 equals 57. Lo, what is this you have done? The voice of your brother's blood splashing upon the planet Earth sounds out to me. Look at you, you're trembling and shaking. This will be a sign unto you. Because of this, you and your seed are cursed from the very ground which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood by your own hand. Whenever you try to farm the ground from this day forward, it will not grow its best for you. You will become a fugitive and wanderer, a Nodite of the Black Devils. Cain was afraid of being killed by those tribes that lived in Nod, a province of the city of Uruk, or Erech, or Araph, outside of the enclosed garden. And he said to Gabriel Nusku Yahuwah, "This punishment is far too great for me. Behold, you have evicted me from being a farmer in my own part of the planet Earth, and you have severed me from having access to your presence without a barotheric gland. I will be hidden, and I will become a fugitive and wanderer throughout the planet Earth. In time, any of those people who live outside the enclosed garden in Nod will find my disguise and they will kill me. Gabriel Nusku Yahuwah said to Cain, "It will be known that anybody outside the enclosed garden that kills you, I will have a grudge 7 times. So as a sign, Gabriel Nusku put fingerprints and a birthmark in the form of a cross on Cain. From that point on, Adamites had fingerprints as a sign that each one may be known. It's the Elohim's means of keeping record. But Cain wept because Gabriel Zadok had said those words to him. Because before this, Gabriel Zadok had been saying to Cain, I will inflict 7 punishments on those who kill Cain, 1 for each of the evil spirits that possessed you. For as the words of Gabriel Zadok to Cain, if Cain had repented at the time and said, O Elionel, forgive me for my sin, and as to Elionel saying to Cain, Cursed be the ground that has drunk the blood of your brother, that also was Elionel's mercy on Cain. For Elionel did not curse him, but the ground, although it was not the ground that had killed Abel and had committed iniquity, for it was meet that the curse should fall upon the murderer. Yet in mercy, Gabriel Zadok managed his thoughts, so that no one would know it, and turn away from Cain. He said unto him, And through this sign did Elionel make an example before all creation. As the murderer of his brother, Elionel brought trembling and terror upon him, so that he might see the peace in which he was at first, and he would also see the trembling and terror he endured at the last, so that he might humble himself before Elionel and repent of his sins, and seek the peace he enjoyed at first. In the word of Elionel that said, I will forego 7 punishments on whoever kills Cain, Gabriel Zadok was not seeking to kill Cain with a sword, but he sought to make him die of fasting and praying and weeping by hard rule, until the time he was delivered from his sin. And the 7 punishments are the 7 generations during which Gabriel Zadok awaited the rebirth of Cain as Tubal Cain for the murder of his brother. But as to Cain, ever since he had killed his brother, he could not find no rest in any place, so he went back to Cadmon and Akaba, trembling, terrified and defiled with blood. Yet never once did he say I regret. Nakeba asked, How could you do such a thing? He answered, The love you favored him over me did the actual killing. The preference you gave him to me did the killing. The kiss you never gave me did the killing. The smile from Cadmon I never received did the killing. I am merely a product of my environment. I am not responsible for my own actions. These accusations caused great grief and sorrow in the hearts of both Cadmon and Akaba, and they turned to each other and accused one another. Cain merely laughed and succeeded in his second assignment to cause dissension between the loved ones.